Investment Corporation continues today. Testimony is expected on Maison Holdings, also known as M.S.T transaction. M.S.T is the company that is owned by a woman that was alleged to be the former CEO Dr Dan Matjila's girlfriend. Yesterday, the PIC Commission heard how CEO Nene, the son of former Finance Minister Nhlanhla Nene, may have been used to gain access to the PIC. At the time, Nhlanhla Nene was Deputy Finance Minister and Chairperson of the PIC. The proposal was for PIC to invest in a palm oil refinery in Mozambique. The deal was described as a difficult investment and a perfect storm where everything could go wrong, went wrong. Well, for more on the PIC Commission of Inquiry, let me bring in the SABC's Glorious Safako Musi, who is live for us in Pretoria. Hey, Glorious, thank you very much indeed for joining us. So yesterday was another interesting day at the PIC Commission of Inquiry. The PIC's executive head of impact investing giving testimony, speaking about a proposal for the PIC to invest in a palm oil refinery in Mozambique. What was this all about?
Good morning, Blaine, and good morning to our viewers. Let's just take you through. Yesterday, we had two people coming to give testimony, both from the PIC. We had Roy Raja coming to give testimony on SNS refinery and also Constant Matsikanda. They both worked on this deal. Let's just take a step back. This deal happened in 2014, around February 2014. At that time, the then CEO, Dr. Dan Matjila, was the Chief Investment Officer at the PIC. Now, what happened is he gave a proposal to Roy Raja. And this proposal was compiled by BDO in Mozambique. This was the first time that the PIC would invest outside of South Africa. Now, what happened is the contact person on this proposal was CEO Nene. Now, as it turns out, CEO Nene is the son of the then at that moment, Nhlanhla Nene was the Deputy Finance Minister, which made him the chair of the PIC. Now, his son comes now as the contact person in this deal. Then Roy Raja then arranged a meeting with Nene, CEO Nene, to come now and present this deal that was given to him. Now, as it turns out, Nene owns a company, India Frek, with Amir Mirza. Amir Mirza is an Indian national. What happened now is there were concerns about how do they then handle the issue of interrelated parties, being CEO Nene being the son of the chairperson of the company. Now, they sent the legal team to go and investigate this matter. Then they came back to say, there's no policy that's preventing this deal being financed. Now, the deal entailed a family-owned company called SNS Refinery in Mozambique. This company was owned by Mr. Rasul and his family. Now, Nene and Amir Mirza suggested that there's a 50% opportunity to own this company, and they wanted now the PIC to fund this, and the PIC would now own 25% of that 50%, and Amir and Nene, CEO Nene, would own 25%, but PIC would fund the deal. Now, what happened now is as time goes, it turns out that the policy, the black empowerment policy at the PIC does not allow for deals outside South Africa to be funded. Now, that's how then India Frek falls out of this opportunity, and so India Frek never owned any share in this deal. What happened now is Mirza goes ahead and opens his own company called Zaid International. Now, this excludes Nene. Then he goes back to the PIC and he now negotiates a referral fee of it was supposed to be 2.5 from what he wanted, but at that time the PIC did not have a policy for payment of referrals. So now he negotiated and they agreed on a 1.5% of that deal. Then that made it $1.7 million. Now, he now got paid into his new company, and with also a promise to the PIC that there were other deals that he could introduce them to, then they have the first right of refusal. Now, we understand this deal has had problems from the beginning. the way that it was a family company. They had a way of doing things. Now, when the PIC comes in with requirements for financial records and operational records, they wanted to see what's happening as now they had already invested. Those records were not forthcoming. Mr. Rasool was now managing that company. So the kind of problems they said the deal had from the beginning is the management style. They did not agree with the management style. Mr. Rasool was continue to run the company like it was his, and he found it like burdensome for him now to be providing financial records. Now the PIC can't operate in that way. So they had a fallout in a way. So another issue that came out is that for PIC to invest in SNS, Amir Mirza had negotiated a 10 million referral fee from Rasool as well. Now Rasool, as time went, he did not want to pay that 10 million. Now PIC, this also impacted on the running of this business. Now they had to now intervene to negotiate for a peaceful resolution between the two. Now it ended up that Rasool had to pay Mirza a fee of about $3.3 million. I understand that has not, he hasn't paid the full amount. He has paid, I think, a half of that. So now PIC, because they need to see the company running with the kind of problems they had, the management style, the operational style, not getting financial records and trips to and from Mozambique, trying to resolve this. They now had to appoint a consultant firm to run the company in Mozambique. They appointed Vamara, which is now running operations there. They had to now kick the Rasool shareholders outside of the business. So we understand that Mr. Rasool is now not running the company anymore. He was asked to hand over the keys because now the PIC, as time went, their shareholding was moved from about 33% to now 70%. Now they have asked him to vacate the building. They are trying to get this company running. And the kind of other challenges that they faced was the lack of raw materials, obviously the inconsistencies at management level. So it has really been what they describe, a perfect storm. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. Blaine?
What stands out is that you're saying with regards to what was heard yesterday at the Commission, there was no policy, PIC policy, with regards to funding of interrelated parties or politically exposed persons. Is that the case as well?
They have since now came up with policy. I understand that policy has now been passed. It was passed in December of 2014, after they realized that they didn't have policy to manage this. I mean, even in a situation where we have the father being the chairperson of a company and you have the same company now investing into this company, obviously that would raise questions as to whether procedures were followed, whether there was favoritism in there, whether indeed the deal had merit or not. But questions would be raised as to, you imagine the PIC is a company that manages other people's money. This is other people's money that is being invested. Now, obviously, they need to make sure that there's no cloud hanging over this deal. So we understand there's a policy that was passed in 2014 December. So now they do have a policy now. But they also mentioned that despite this having happened, there were people that there were deals that involved politically exposed persons that were passed and also that were rejected. So the Commission has asked for records of those to see as to which deals were rejected and which deals were passed.
Okay, so that was yesterday. Tell us about today. What can we expect? Who's taking the stand?
Today we expect the same people that gave testimony yesterday to continue giving testimony. Roy Raja and Ms. Matikanda will come onto the stand again today. But today they'll be talking about the M.S.T transaction. Yeah. Remember, the M.S.T transaction is the transaction where that involves that caused a lot of problems at the PIC as well. This is the transaction that involved the former CEO Dr Dan Matjila that was accused of having facilitated funding for a company that belonged to a woman that was alleged to be his girlfriend. This company got a loan from the PIC, but from what came out of this commission, we understand that Dr. Matjila was also frowned upon for having facilitated about 300,000 from a person that had been helped by the PIC, that had been funded by the PIC, a certain Mr. Malaudi, that Matjila asked him to, because this woman, her name is Pretty Law, her company was facing problems. Now, because Malaudi had been helped by the PIC, he said he had now requested him to assist this woman with a 300,000. I understand she was being evicted from her premises, and now this was helped. Now she used the money now to help her to stay in those premises, but her company was going through problems. Now, remember the James Noko emails? That's where all these allegations came about, where it was alleged that Dr. Matjila then facilitated funding for this woman's company. But then we'll hear more of the details from the people that worked on these deals as to what exactly happened.
SABC's Gloria Safaka-Musi live for us in Pretoria. Thank you very much indeed for your reporting. We will try to catch up with you a little later on. Okay, let's take a quick